Good good evening, everyone. Here on this Saturday, Chase here, monitoring a severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for parts of Coffee County, and that's the reason why I'm on here. We This warning goes into effect until 6:45 p.m. Central Time for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, along with the potential also for some small hail in it. Been watching this storm. It's been really intensifying over the last 30 minutes or so, ever since it was out in the Shelbyville area of Bedford County, and now it's intensified to a point to where a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for pretty much almost all of Coffee County. Now, it does not quite include downtown Tullahoma, but it does include the north side of town, and it also includes those of you in Manchester. So all the city of Manchester's in this, along with Hillsborough, New Union, Summitville, the Noah community, all these areas, especially towards Normandy Lake. That these are the zones that are under that threat of severe weather. And not to ignore Franklin County, but you also got some strong thunderstorms and a interesting little gust front here moving across Franklin County right now. So it's running out ahead of that. So we got two different areas, but mostly right now we got one severe storm. So I'm going to focus on this one right now and get you right to the latest. Again, the wind mode on here is not really too crazy, but it's high enough here, given the short distance from the high top radar here. So we're getting a pretty good look at it. So again, where you see the bright greens and the bright reds right here being totally separated from one another, that's an indication of those strong wind gusts that again could be upwards of 50 to 60 miles an hour as it tracks directly towards downtown Manchester here in a matter of minutes here. So again, this is going to move up towards the Highway 53 corridor, and eventually towards 41. So Hillsborough Boulevard up around the water park. If you know anybody that's out there, that's outside right now, make sure they get inside. You don't want to be out here, especially out and about, especially when you have this kind of thunderstorm rolling in, especially with the lightning. You don't want to be out there in that. So if you know anybody that's outside at a pool or anywhere like that in Coffee County, especially around Hillsborough and Manchester, and even down as far south as Tullahoma, you definitely want to make sure they're aware that there's some dangerous storms moving in with lightning. And the reason why I say dangerous is because of the lightning and also the fact that this one cell is severe. Now, real quick here, I do want to point out there's some other thunderstorms forming to the south of this severe warned area. There's one that's moving right into Tullahoma from Lynchburg. Got some more moving down across western areas of Timms Ford Lake, extending down to the Flintville area of Lincoln County, and that's all advancing to the east. So that will affect those. That will probably affect those of you in Belvedere and Winchester, Deckard, up towards Estill Springs, and eventually out towards Cowan and southwest of Huntland here, probably within the next 10, 20, 30 minutes or so as it heads off to the east. And then after that, that could be an issue for Pelham, Swanee, Monteagle, and etc. So those will be the locations next if this were to hold together. And if you look here at the whole view, and I'll zoom this out to show you the big view here, notice it's one line here that's moving from west to east. And actually, this is arriving a little bit ahead of schedule. This was actually not supposed to really arrive, at least based on the earlier modeling from this morning, this afternoon, until tonight. But these storms, and especially this pattern we're in, it has a mind of its own, and they've decided to arrive a little early. So we'll see if that has any implications on later tonight. But right now, the main focus is this wave. And again, we also got some storms forming out ahead of that, moving northeast towards Summitville there. So heads up there along 55 and points in between there. But again, the area that's mostly concerned for the severe part is what you see right here in this pink. And when you see pink on radar, that's an indication that there could be some hail in this thunderstorm. It's not very large. In fact, that it's only warned, I think, for penny to nickel size hails that moves right around the Normandy Lake area, and it moves off to the east from there. So here's some more specific areas. In fact, I'm going to increase the city size here real fast so that way you guys can see that a little bit better. Let me bump up that size so that way it'll be visible. There we go. So here's the zones being affected. So Courtners Mill, Normandy Lake, heading out to the east. So crossing over the Bedford Coffee County line, right over the lake as we speak. This road right here, that is Lindell Bell Road, and then that's going to head towards Melrose Park. The Manchester Recreational Complex is right here, just north of downtown. It's heading in that direction. So heading towards the courthouse, heading towards downtown. And right down this road here, 41, where it says 41, that's Hillsborough Boulevard. And here's State Route 55 as you come up from Tullahoma and Coffee County Central High School and moving up into the Manchester area. So these are all the areas that are in the path of this storm. Also, New Union, heads up for you. This is moving in your direction. Summitville, you got a storm moving in now, but the severe one is just out to the west, so you're kind of getting the tail beginning of that. And in Hillsboro, things are calm for now. You're probably hearing some thunder off in the distance, but this is also heading in your direction here, even though you may get split by this one, but get this one that's down by Tullahoma. We'll have to wait and see. And again, these storms in here have intensified here over the last 5 minutes here that are moving into Tullahoma and Estill Springs right now. So right across the northern end of Franklin County, southwestern Coffee County here. So if you know anybody that's out by Woods Reservoir or Timms Ford Lake, make sure they are getting inside and getting away from the lightning and all that, because these storms are moving off to the east here. And they're only moving, let me check the forward speed, they're only moving at about 20 to 30 miles an hour. So at least they're moving, but they're not very fast movers, so they'll take their time getting through. So again, this is the situation. Again, the only county, and I want to emphasize the only county right now that has a concern for a severe thunderstorm is Coffee County. That's the only county in our area right now that has any kind of severe weather concern. And this has actually been the only severe thunderstorm warning we've had all day. So this is actually the very first one. We had some other strong storms earlier this morning and afternoon that moved through that produced a lot of heavy rain, frequent lightning, and all that. But those were classified non-severe. This one this evening is, because it decided to ramp up there. So again, notice this line here, and some of you may be wondering what this little blue-green line you see that's moving into Winchester and Estill Springs. What that is a gust front. So the thunderstorm, what's happening here is that gust front moves east. It's actually popping up more storms along and just west of that, and that's usually what happens here during the summer months. Is that you get thunderstorms that can develop either out ahead or just behind that gust front as that gust front moves to the east. So that could allow more thunderstorms to initiate here as they get closer and closer to the Sequatchie Valley, the Southern Plateau, perhaps even the Chattanooga Metro here. So that'll be something to watch here over the next few hours as that moves off to the east again. These are non-severe, but I did want to point those out so that way we got everything covered here. Just got a new update on this severe storm that's moving across Coffee County, actually moving into Coffee County as we speak. So let me read you that information fast. Again, they've basically taken county out of it except Normandy. Here at 6:10, a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles west of Manchester. It's moving east at 30. This is 30 miles an hour. Hazard is 60 mile an hour wind gust. It is radar indicated. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees is the impact type. Locations that are in the path of this include Manchester, Normandy, Hillsboro, and Summitville. And also for any travelers out there, specifically on I-24, this includes I-24 in Coffee County between mile markers 100 and 120. So if you know anybody that happens to be traveling out in this area, around Hillsboro up through Manchester, New Union, Summitville, even as far north as Beech Grove, make sure they are aware that they're going to be running into some pretty intense thunderstorms here over the next half hour here. And again, this line seems to be kind of organizing here and coming together here. So if you notice the last few scans, how this to the south, down by Tullahoma and Estill Springs, was separated here and more scattered. Now that's kind of congealed together as that gust fronts went through. So that's allowed those storms to get intense really quickly, and you're probably hearing that right now in the Tullahoma area. But so far it's still separate, but it looks like we're starting to get a merging happening here, kind of getting a merger happening as these move across Coffee and northern Franklin counties. So I do want to go ahead and give some early heads ups here. So for those of you in Grundy County, this is a heads up for you. You got storms heading your way. Warren County, McMinnville in the south especially, this is heading in your direction. So within the next 30 minutes to an hour roughly, these storms are going to move from Coffee and northern Franklin into the southern half of Warren County, and probably the way things are looking, in fact, pretty much almost all of Grundy County. So just a little bit of it. So giving y'all a quick heads up here. Can't say for sure if it will be severe or not by the time it gets there. Hopefully not, but you will probably have some thunderstorms to contend with here within the next hour. And then after that, this can move into parts of Van Buren County, parts of Sequatchie County, perhaps even Marion and Bledsoe in Van Buren here down the road. So again, long ways from now, considering this is moving at about 20 to 30 miles an hour, but I wanted to go ahead and give some early heads ups here as this moves off to the east here ahead of time. So again, but right now the main focus is really from Timms Ford Lake all the way up through the northern half of Coffee County there, along and west of Highway 55 and 41A, even though these storms are now crossing over those corridors right now. And you see there's a lot of lightning in this. By the bolts you see here on the map, that's the lightning. And then where you see the red and the pink and all that, that's where the radar is saying, hey, there's some really heavy thunderstorms in these areas. And then when you have the pink, of course, that indicates the possibility of some pea to marble, perhaps penny-sized hail in some of these storms. Again, it's not very large. Again, hail's not really the main thing here. It's really more of those torrential downpours, the lightning, and the potential for damaging wind gusts here as it gets ready to cross over I-24. So again, if you know anybody that's traveling, especially between Monteagle and Murfreesboro, make sure they are aware of this. And if it gets too heavy out there, simply pull off and just wait this out. You don't want to hydroplane out in this. It's very easy to do that here. So just make sure that folks here are aware of this as this pushes off to the east. These are also some very tall thunderstorms. I'm checking the storm tops here for you, and we're running at about 40 to 45,000 feet in tops on these storms. So these are so when you have thunderstorms that tall, that indicates they're very intense. They're producing a lot of lightning, those gusty winds, and also that very torrential rain. So the taller the storms are, the stronger they usually are. And that's what's happening here across parts of southern Middle Tennessee this evening. Again, as I said, it's going to be a while before this gets out towards, the Sequatchie Valley and points east. We'll see if it holds together that long, even though that's kind of the uncertain thing. But if it does, it'll be in these areas here as we get closer to sunset and beyond. So like I said, we got a long way to go here. I do want to point out there's another little, what's called a thunder shower here south of Spring City, but that is currently non-severe at this time as that heads towards 10 miles, so you may get a downpour there. But just to quickly point that one out, that it's currently non-severe at the moment. Huntland, you're getting in on some heavy storms at the moment. The gust fronts now crossing the Highway 41A corridor, moving through Deckard and Winchester now. So that's that little green line you see running out ahead of the storms there. So it's just past Belvedere, but it's about to pour down rain here in a matter of minutes. And then that's going to move towards Cowan, Suwannee, Monteagle, the Alto community there in the northeast end of Franklin County. So from Nissan up that way, up 64, that's where this gust front's crossing. And then after that is when the rain will take over. So the gusty wind will precede the rain, and then the rain and thunderstorm activity will follow behind that. So again, gust front first, then you got the storms there. Again, at the moment, no warning here, but just wanted to point that out because this is some really heavy stuff here. So we'll zoom down a little bit closer here. So getting close to UTSI there, which is the University of Tennessee Space Institute here around Woods Reservoir, extending up through the base. These storms are moving right over Arnold Air Force Base as we speak, and getting ready to move out of downtown Tullahoma here within the next couple minutes, and then head right down Waltendorf Highway and eventually up towards the Interstate 24 and Highway 127 into the Hillsboro area. And again, Manchester, this is moving in as we speak, so moving into downtown, and then up towards Busy Corner there where that exit is as you go up towards Noah. So that's the zone that this is moving over now. And then next up, New Union there along Highway 53, south of Woodbury here. That's going to be the next area to be impacted. In fact, it's probably over that area now. And again, Summitville, Mud Creek, down to Saineville and Ragsdale Road area. You got some heavy thunderstorms here, heading up towards Morrison and Viola. But at this moment, this is the storm that's not been warned on. The one that's been warned on here is to the west. So let's see how the wind is shaping up. Again, no rotation, and I do want to emphasize that there's no indications of anything tornadic here. The only reason why I'm showing this product here is showing you that there's that potential for gusty wind, for those gusty to possibly damaging wind gusts. So I do want to emphasize that there's really pretty much very little to zero tornado threat with any of this. This is mainly a heavy downpour, strong wind gusts, lightning, perhaps some small hail kind of situation. So So again, if we do get any kind of rotation that somehow develops somehow, I will definitely let you know that. But right now, I'm not seeing any evidence of that. What I'm seeing more of is our average strong July thunderstorms here that are producing a lot of rain, a lot of lightning, and of course those strong wind gusts here that move across the Highway 55 corridor and 4 and also 41 here. So those are all the areas that are going to be impacted. And this is going to cover all of Coffee County. So I will be very surprised if there's not a location in the county that does not get anything out of it, because this is all moving right across that area. And it's almost becoming a safe bet to say that a good chunk of Grundy County is going to also end up getting these thunderstorms here over the next 30 minutes to an hour. So again, I say it's going to take its time getting there, but trust me, it's going to be noisy when it gets there. But at the moment, there's not a warning in effect for Grundy or even Warren County. But again, McMinnville, you will be getting storms here within the next half hour to an hour as well. So heads up there. Also Morrison, Viola, Centertown, Irving College, down to Beersheba and points east to Spencer, and even down into Sequatchie County. You'll have to watch out for this down the road too. But at the moment, the only county that has a severe thunderstorm warning or anything severe at this time is Coffee County. That covers pretty much most of the county. So really, south of Beech Grove, down through the NOAA area, down towards downtown Manchester. So really from the rec complex down Hillsborough Boulevard to where all those restaurants are and all that. It's moving into that area now. And then that's going to head down towards the base. So heading right towards Arnold there. And then eventually after that, it gets through there, it'll move into Hillsborough here within the next few minutes. So what I will do is let me put a quick path on this. We'll time out this line as it moves to the east. And it's moving east at 30. And this will be in Hillsborough around 6:37. So within the next 10 to 20 minutes, the gust front will get there a little bit sooner. But as far as the heavy rain, all that's concerned, it'll get there around 6:37 Central. If this storm holds together, the Altamont area of Grundy County by about 7 o'clock, 7:05, just before 7:15 in Beersheba, and also around 7:15 in Grootley. Again, that's it, Grootley. So that means if it holds together, this will move into northern Grundy County. And then to the north here, we'll time this out as well and get this up towards McMinnville here. Now, there's a storm racing out ahead of it, but the part that's strong will get to downtown McMinnville by about 7 o'clock to 7:15-ish. Again, these are estimates, so just keep that in mind. And then we'll track this one also that's moving moving into New Union and the Highway 53 corridor as it moves off to the east. And that'll be into Morrison. There's a storm out ahead of that. They'll be there a lot sooner, but as far as the second line's concerned for you, that'll be in your area here in about 20 minutes around 6:43, and in Viola just after that around 6:49. So those are some quick estimated times of arrival. Again, the storm movement's been varied quite a bit here. It's been varying, I should say, quite a bit. There's been some storms that have been moving as slow as 15 to 20. There's been some that have moved as fast as 30 miles an hour. And so far, these thunderstorms are moving east at about 30. So really, give or take 5 to 10 miles off either direction. That's been the forward motion. So really, I think a good rule of thumb is 20 to 30 off to the east here as far as movement's concerned. So it's going to take its time getting through, but the good thing is these storms are moving, so that should help reduce any kind of flash flooding that we get out of these storms. That's another threat that I'm also keeping an eye on as we go into tonight, is there is the possibility of some localized flash flooding. But as long as these thunderstorms are moving at a good enough clip and there's not any training or anything like that happening, which I haven't seen so far, that should help reduce the flash flooding risk part of this here fairly significantly. So we're hoping that will be the case, and hopefully we can get the severe stuff here tuned down to a point where it's not severe. But again, just so we don't ignore anybody here down the stretch, Estill Springs down through Deckard, Winchester, it's starting to get noisy there now. Down through Belvedere, it's moved out of Huntland now, so Huntland, you're good at least for right now. That's moved off to the east of Top Keef Springs Mountain there as you get close to the Jackson County line. But again, this part in Franklin's non-severe, but that is moving east. So heads up around Cowan, heads up in Swanee down to Sherwood. Eventually, again, Grundy County and even into Marion County here. So Jasper, South Pitt, Kimball, up through Whitwell. this is heading in your direction here within the next hour. So just giving y'all that heads up here ahead of time. And then again, this up here to the north, the severe storm in Manchester will also continue pressing off to the east, including southern Warren, northern Grundy, and if it holds together, possibly parts of Squatchy, Van Buren, and Bledsoe within the hour or so. So that'll be something to watch too down the road if this can be able to hold its strength. Now here is a velocity update. The winds I do feel are coming down a little bit, just a little. I'm not saying that the warning should be allowed to expire. The warning expires here in about 20 minutes, but still seeing some gusty wind here, is indicated by these bright reds and bright greens that are totally opposite of each other. So no evidence of any rotation, at least at this moment. But again, some strong winds here. Not really showing a whole lot here, at least on the speed. But again, still the warning's in place just to make sure you're aware that in that area around Coffee County, especially around Manchester, that there could be some damaging winds involved, as well as down towards Hillsborough and areas along 127, State Route 127, as you move up towards Viola. So this is going to be moving into Viola next. Ragsdale's getting this right now, and then that's going to move towards Winton Town and out into the Viola area here within the next 10-20 minutes. And then you got this thunderstorm also around Summitville. That's moving right up 55 into Morrison. So heads up there, and that's going to also move up State Route 108 towards the south side of McMinnville and also Irving College. Got an interesting indication here. Got some hail here moving across, at least some small hail, not very large, but some small hail. Moving across the Arnold Air Force Base there along and north of Wattendorf Highway right there. That runs through the base and up north towards areas between Manchester and Hillsborough there where the Loves is. They're off the interstate. So that's going to be the next area to get that. And you see that little green line here running just out ahead of that storm. That is the gust front that also extends up through that area. So this thunderstorm here is just to the west of that gust front and pushing off to the east. Again, the gusty wind will start before the rain. So I do want to point that out. So those of you in Hillsborough, just know that it's going to get windy first, and then the rain will take over, that after that. And then once you get behind this, there's really not much happening out in here to the north and west so far. So as I zoom out to show you kind of the whole scope here, the whole view here, the rest of the severe activity is out towards Memphis and points south and west, and that stuff will miss us. But there's nothing back to the north and west of I-65 of note, at least as of this minute. But again, as we go later tonight, we'll have to watch and see if this line moving through ahead of schedule winds up affecting things here as we go deeper into the night. Again, we won't know that for sure here until we see what this does. But again, at the moment, the main area of severe concern remains in Coffee County, where we have that severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect for exactly another 17 minutes. The newest update here says at 6:25 a severe thunderstorm was located over Manchester. It's moving east at 30 miles an hour, so the speed has not changed on it. 60-mile-an-hour wind gust is the main hazard. This is radar indicated. Locations that are in the path of this include Manchester, Hillsborough, and Summitville, so no change from the last one. But again, if you're in Tullahoma, you're good. The worst of this is to your east, so I'll go ahead and give Tullahoma an all clear. If you're also watching from Beech Grove and around the NOAA area, you're also clear of this as well. So this is moved to your east, so you're good out that way. So again, I'll also reiterate that this includes Interstate 24 between mile markers 105 and 120. So the exact location of that would be right where that bridge, that State Route 127 bridge there, it goes over I-24 there in Hillsborough as the southern end of the polygon, and then the northwestern end of that polygon goes up to the 41 exit up there close to the NOAA community where that truck stop is up that way that you see as you go up in between Monteagle and Murfreesboro there. So that's the zone that this of I-24 this is crossing over, and then it's also crossing over 41 as well. And then after that, State Route 127 and up towards Ragsdale, south, and eventually towards the Franklin County line. And speaking of which, still got this heavy thunderstorm here, not been warned on, but this is moving right over Woods Reservoir, so heads up around Gum Creek, Shady Grove, Wilder Chapel, Rutledge Hill, Betsy Willis, Pelham. This is all moving into your area here within the next few minutes. Gust front will precede it, but again, you'll have that heavy rain, the potential for some lightning and gusty wind. Again, some not really too crazy down in here around the Deckard, Winchester area down to about Keith Springs Mountain, where it's a little heavier down there. Nothing too wild, at least right now, but still got some heavy rain, some thunder, lightning, and also some gusty wind here, especially on this leading edge as that moves up the mountain. Another little downpours formed in the vicinity of Providence there, right around where the Elk River ends as you move up into Pelham. That's a downpour, but currently non-severe. Getting some indications of some small hail, possibly some pea to penny size hail on the north side of Manchester there, north of I-24, just south of New Union, and also in this area right here as you get close to where, the Burger King and all the other restaurants and businesses are down in here off Hillsborough Boulevard and I-24. So passing close to the campgrounds where Bonnaroo is, that's the area that's where the radar is showing the possibility of a little bit of small hail in here. That's indicated by the pink you see on this map in the center of the screen where it says White Oaks. So that's the area that's crossing next, and then it's going to move toward Asbury next up, south of Ragsdale. Even though it's already storming pretty hard there, and points in between. So Hubbard's Cove. This storm is also heading in your direction. The Hickson area of Grundy County, not the Chattanooga-Hickson, but the Grundy County-Hickson. It's spelled differently here. This is moving in your direction as well. And then eventually towards the Altamont area. So within about the next 20 to 30 minutes, in fact, I'll actually put an updated track there to show. So we'll put Hillsborough in there as well. Again, the heavy rain and stuff will be in Hillsborough here around 6:37, so within the next 5 to 10 minutes. About 7:05 around that time in the Altamont area, and then around or just before 7:15 into Beersheba. So that will be this southern end of the line, at least right in here. And then we'll go south, and I'll even track this one that's not technically warned on, but might as well. We'll put it on the same speed. Again, Pelham around 6:49, about 7:09 in Colmont, 7:19 for Grootley, about 7:24 for Palmer, and about 7:26 for Griffith Creek if the southern end of the line holds together. And then up here, we'll move this up towards the McMinnville area, about 30 miles an hour. Centertown about 6:52, and the McMinnville area around 7:07, and Morrison, it's pretty much over you right now, so, or within the next couple of minutes if it's not there yet, but it's pretty much overhead now and almost overhead in Viola here within the next 5 to 10 minutes there. So those are some estimated times of arrival. I do have to say that southern end of the line has started to organize just a little bit. I mean, it's not been anything too crazy, but the winds have actually come up a little bit with that. So where you see the bright green right in here in southern Franklin County and extreme northwestern Jackson County, that's showing that strong wind potential. Again, no warning or advisory out on it at the moment, but it is something to watch as this crosses over Roe Gap Road and down through Alabama Highway 79 into High Top. And that, if it holds together, will move towards Bridgeport, South Pitt, Kimball, Jasper, those areas here as it moves over the plateau and into the Squatchy Valley. So we'll have to watch that carefully here over the next half hour to an hour, but so far non-severe. Again, I'll emphasize the only severe storm that we have at the moment is this one that's crossing over Manchester and Highway 55 here and moving directly to the east. So right over Hillsborough Boulevard, where you get all those fast food restaurants and all that, the Walmart and all that right there, and the campgrounds, moving east from there towards the Asbury community down to Hillsborough, and in fact it's already approaching Hillsborough as we speak. So again, I've said about around 6:37, and that's pretty much what's happening here, so right on schedule as this moves off to the east. So heads up along State Route 127 here from Woods Reservoir all the way up to Viola. A little bit of I'll just say a travel advisory here. Just be aware that you have strong to severe storms crossing over that road. Also a heads up here between Manchester and McMinnville here along Highway 55. It's certainly a mess down in here. You got some very torrential rain, frequent lightning, gusty wind here going right up and down Highway 55 from downtown Manchester up through Summitville into Morrison. So be very careful if you're out in those areas, or if you know anybody out there. Just make sure they're being very careful out there in these conditions. Also, another heavy storm is flaring up in southern Cannon County, right around Bradyville, down towards Midway, Iconium, south of Woodbury. So heads up around Centertown. This is heading in your direction here, considering it's moving east. So this storm up here is flared up in a little bit as that's moved into it, as that's merged with another storm that was in that area. So around is where that is. Interesting town name. And that's going to be heading up towards Bratcher's Crossroads, Centertown, Daylight, Stewart's Chapel, and eventually up and towards the north side of McMinnville here of this storm. We'll move up towards the DeBrell, Green Hill area of northern Warren County if that holds together. So there's quite a bit to track here along this line, and that's something I'm pointing out here. It's starting to become a little bit more healthier and uniform down in here across Franklin County. That was the new scan of radar. So now we pretty much have almost a solid line here of strong to severe storms moving across, moving into the Cowan area now, down through Keith Springs Mountain. So basically from Keith Springs Mountain up through Cowan, east side of Deckard around Nissan, up to Woods Reservoir, eastern half of Manchester, Summitville, Morrison, up to Bradyville there south of Woodbury. That's the line itself of strong storms as it pushes off to the east. So it would not surprise me if we get some additional, at least some additional advisories, if not warnings here with time. So far, I haven't seen any special weather statements be issued of note, but the only warning we've had here is this one that's moving right over the eastern half of Coffee County and moving along and east of I-24 here. So at least in this area. So again, Arnold Air Force Base is getting it pretty good right now with some very heavy rain and a lot of lightning. So that's where you see all these bolts. That's what's happening there. So Calls, Prairie Plains, Rutledge Hill, Glenn, Betsy Willis. I know y'all are technically not in this severe thunderstorm warning, but it's getting pretty heavy there as we speak. Again, Hillsborough, it's over you now. The Stevenson area of southern Coffee County, Tennessee is also involved in this. Asbury again, Saineville, Wintontown, Ragsdale. So that's Ragsdale Road right there that runs east of Manchester towards 127 in Viola. That's the area it's crossing over there. Forest Mill, could be some small hail in that area where you see that pink. Bryan Mills, Summitville in the middle of this now. Mud Creek, Shady Grove, Vervilla, it's moving into your area now. Also Morrison, Lawson Mill, Mount Zion. Again, there's Viola, and then next up will be Irving College after that, as that gets ready to cross over the Highway 56 corridor here within a matter of the next half hour or so, half hour to an hour roughly. And again, down here to the south, got another cell moving up into Pelham. That's a pretty good downpour. That's running just out ahead of the gust front. And again, there's these other heavy thunderstorms moving across the eastern half of Franklin County. So if you're around Winchester, Deckard, Estill Springs, Belvedere, Huntland, up to Tullahoma, the worst of this is to your east now, so you are good. So I'll go ahead and give y'all the all clear. Also Manchester, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the all clear since the worst of this is passing to your east now, at least the part that is, quote, severe. So for those of you in Manchester watching, you are good. Be very careful of the rain and ponding and anything like that. I've not heard of any kind of tree damage or power outages, at least as I know of, so I'll have to check Dug River Electric, but at the same time, just be very wary if you come across any kind of downed trees or anything like that. Just be very careful. And also with the ponding, considering how torrential the rain is with this. So just be very careful if you have to be out and about this evening in this area of Coffee County. But again, Manchester, you are clear from this severe storm as it's moved off to your east. So especially now as it's moved east of I-24. So you're good there. New Union, you're also good there. And give it about 5 more minutes in Summitville and Hillsborough, and you will also be good. And that will be when the warning expires here in about 7 minutes. So hopefully there won't be a need for extension here. So what I will do is I will check the wind speeds here just to make sure that, and yeah, I'll be honest, I don't see really a need for an extension here because the wind mode has really come down in this. So you see how disorganized it is with the reds and greens going everywhere. So that's a good sign, right? That's a really good sign right there, which means this storm is, I'm not saying necessarily being sheared apart, but what it is, it's disorganized. It's discombobulated, in other words. So that's a good sign. Hopefully it stays that way and doesn't tighten up again. But the warning still remains in effect for about another 6 minutes. So the best bet is the Weather Service will probably just let this go and expire it right on that point. And if we don't get any additional warnings here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I will sign off here if we don't get anything additional as far as warnings are concerned. So we'll kind of go back to the written post. But I do want to note that the wind mode is increasing down in here across northwestern Jackson County into parts of Franklin County. So I do want to make note of that real quick. Some gusts are showing up to 40 here with this storm moving towards High Top and atop Keefe Springs Mountain there along Highway 16 in that area. So that's where the winds have increased. Again, Cowan, you're getting a pretty good storm right now. And then Swanee, this will be heading up in your area here within the next 5 minutes. And within the next 10 minutes or so for Mont Eagle, and within about 10 minutes to 20 minutes roughly for the Tracy City area. So, in fact, the Weather Service has went ahead and put out a special weather statement, which is what this blue polygon you see here on the map is. That's a special weather statement right there for up to 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So I figured I'd put that on there just to show you that new information. So let me get you that new information here real quick. Strong thunderstorms will impact Warren, Eastern Coffee, Olive Grundy, and southern Cannon counties all the way through from now through 7:30 p.m. Central. At 6:38 p.m. Central, Doppler radar was tracking strong thunderstorms along a line extending from 9 miles west of McMinnville to 11 miles northeast of Manchester to Cowan. Movement was east at 30 miles an hour. Hazard is wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. It is radar indicated. The impact on this is gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. Locations that are in the path of this include, it's a lot of cities here, McMinnville, Manchester, Woodbury, Grutley Logger, Tracy City, Mont Eagle, Altamont, Colmont, Morrison, Palmer, Beersheba, Centertown, Viola, Rock Island, Summitville, Hillsboro, Pelham, the Fiery Gizzard, and Arnold Air Force Base. So those are the locations in the path of this strong storm that's moving across portions of Cannon, Coffee, Warren, and Grundy counties between now and 7:30. This also includes I-24 between mile markers 113 and 135. So heads up to travelers along our highways here. If outdoors, consider seeking shelter inside a building. So that's a special weather statement. That's not a warning. That's basically an advisory that says, hey, watch out for strong storms that could carry 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts. And just to refresh on what severe criteria actually is, severe criteria is when a wind gust gets 58 miles per hour or higher. 58 miles per hour or higher is the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning, or hail that is the size of a quarter or larger. Thankfully, there's good enough confidence here, as I've been looking through with velocity, both here and also behind the scenes, that I don't see a reason for a severe thunderstorm warning to be extended at this very minute, as long as it doesn't re-intensify. So because of that, and also the confidence that the folks at the NWS in Nashville also have with this, that this is more of a strong storm line as opposed to a severe storm line, that's why that special weather statement that you see in the blue polygon there was extended as opposed to the severe thunderstorm warning. So that's a step in the right direction, considering that this was a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to expire here in exactly 3 minutes. So again, as I said, if you're in Manchester and Tullahoma, you're good. This is off to your east now. The only areas of Coffee County really getting any kind of storms right now, especially the heaviest storms, are Hillsboro and Summitville. Again, so as I said, give it about another 5 more minutes or so, and you guys will be good there as well. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and also give an all clear to Arnold Air Force Base, because this is also the worst of this is now to your east. So Pelham, you're getting some storms right now. Storms are moving into your area as we speak. Again, if you guys got any reports or anything, you can put that in and let people know what's going on. So that way, it gives people, out ahead of this, some idea of what's going on with this line as this moves off to the east. And again, Marion County, heads up for you guys. I know I haven't talked about y'all much because there's not been anything much going on, but you do have strong thunderstorms in the Cowan-Swanee areas moving east in your direction. So heads up in Marion County, heads up in Squatchy County, and I'll even go ahead and give Jackson County a heads up as well because this line is starting to trickle down to the south and west a little bit. So it's a little more broken down in here, but as we've seen up in here, it may not take much for this to fill in. So we'll see what happens here down on that side. But again, this is a very solid line now. It was broken earlier, but now it's a solid line moving across southern Tennessee, really from Woodbury, McMinnville, Centertown, south, all the way down through the western spine of the plateau here, down to Cowan, down to Swanee, and down towards Sherwood, and also at Keep Springs Mountain here, and also in the northwestern tip of Jackson County. And all that's moving off to the east here at about 30 miles an hour. So let's give some ballpark time frames here. As I said, the reason why I call it ballpark is it's very estimated because storm motion may very easily change. So let's get Jasper and South Pitt and all you guys some heads ups here real fast, and we'll just go north to south here. So Sherwood around 6:53, so pretty much right now. It's about 7:23 for New Hope, about 7. So basically New Hope, South Pitt area about 7:20, 7:25. Jasper Kimball area around 7:26. Little Squatchy around 7:30. Whiteside Haletown area around 7:40. Around 9 o'clock Eastern time for downtown Chattanooga. About 9:04 Eastern in Red Bank. Rossville about 9:06, about 9:10 for Fort O, and then about 9:19 for Soddy. And then we'll go up here to the north, and we'll track up here. So we'll do Grundy County next, and then there's also a special weather statement in Marion County just as I speak there. So kind of a good timing there on my part. We'll track that off to the east, about the same speed. Grootley Logger. This will be, well, I don't know why I'd X that out, but let me draw that again. So there it is, moving east at about 30, and there goes that severe thunderstorm warning as it's expired for Coffee County now. 7:19 for Grootley, roughly, so right around that time. Again, it'll probably be there a little sooner than that, but again, this is estimated stuff here. About 7:45 in Dunlap. So really, when the tracks are drawn out here, that's about a 1 hour track. So what you see here in that fan, I've drawn it out to about an hour ahead of time. So it gives you kind of an estimation here to where this will likely be within the hour. So within the hour, it'll likely be crossing over the Squatchy Valley and moving eventually into parts of Ray, Hamilton, Meigs, and other areas here too down the road. So we'll track. So let's go up here to the north again. Let's go up to McMinnville's way. McMinnville area around 7:06 and about 7:42 in Spencer. Again, it'll be raining there sooner, but that's from the heaviest part of that storm. So again, that's what I always say, with these time frames, they're very estimated. So in other words, don't take them necessarily with a grain of salt, but give it about a good 5 to 10 minute earlier, general idea at least of the time this will be moving into your town. So I forgot to check this one down here to the south around Monteagle and Tracy. So again, Monteagle, this will be in your area here within the next 5 to 10 minutes here, just before 7 o'clock, if not right around 7. About around 7:09 for Tracy. Griffith Creek about 7:30, as well as Palmer and the Grootley area, and also Whitwell there around 7:34. So again, those are some estimated times of arrival. So again, we got some strong thunderstorms here, moving up and down the western plateau and parts of southern middle Tennessee. Again, McMinnville, this is on your doorstep here within the next 10 to 20 minutes. It'll be in your neighborhood. Morrison, Summitville, you're getting it now. Viola's now getting in on this heavy rain. Pelham's getting it pretty good. Rutledge Hill area as well. Down through Rourke's Cove, up into Swanee. Moved out of Cowan now, so Cowan, you're clear from this at least. And then down to the south, Highway 16, which is Road Gap Road in Franklin County. Still got some heavy storms there up on Keep Springs Mountain, down to Jericho and Jackson County. And then the green line you see out ahead of this, that is the gust front as that moves off to the east. So considering we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings, at least right now, I'm going to double check velocities here to make sure nothing really flares up here over the next little bit. So let's see here. So we got 30 to 40 up along all this. So yeah, nothing extreme here, thankfully. So Given that right now these are just strong thunderstorms and they are non-severe, well, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here. If we do get any kind of warnings here, I do plan on popping back on here if we get any additional severe thunderstorm warnings. So if we do get any additional warnings, I will definitely let you know of that. So and we'll probably also go live again. So with that said, I'll continue providing updates here throughout the evening and also most of the night tonight. And so stay tuned for updates and thank you all for watching.